Hi, Jérémie, my dear friend Jérémie. How are you doing, Jérémie?
I'm very good, Pascal. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited with what we're going to do together today. We have presented last year. We have a series of 5 minutes to try to create a bit of to tease the curiosity of the head of school and director of curriculum, leadership. In school, in international school, and this year we're coming with something a bit different. Jeremy, can you talk to us a bit about it?
It is going to be a bit different, this podcast. So, many people are talking about AI in education, and the approach is, which is a noble one, is to try and make it as simple as possible, as accessible as possible, so that as many people as possible can have sort of a low entry point into AI integration. And that's great. What we're going to be doing is a little bit different. We're going to be looking at the cutting edge. We're going to be looking at more advanced, a bit more complex users, but also the ones that we think have the most potential, the greatest potential for students, for teachers, and for schools.
Mhm. And so there is one thing that in our conversation, Jeremy, and we have a lot of conversation because we share a lot of the work we're doing. It's a
Mhm.
lot of testing and intuition that we have, and things that are very concrete that we do. And we will have the opportunity to share in this podcast. We will have the opportunity to share some of this work that we have done in the future. But in some of the conversation that we have, you often say that we don't really fully realize the implication of these new technologies. And so
Mhm.
why do you think that? And what are these misconceptions in which we are currently stuck when it comes to AI in education?
Right. I mean, so if we're being honest, the main reason why we don't fully realize the implications and there are misconceptions is just because those technologies they're so new, they're so complex, they evolve so fast. It would be very hard for anybody to predict the future when it comes to AI. Even people who have deep expertise in AI. And we have to be honest, in education, whether it's you, me, or anybody else, we're not experts in AI. It's not that we work in the industry, right? We know about using AI in education. And what that does is, because AI it seems easy to use, and that's what happened with ChatGPT. It made AI very easy to use. It gives this false sense that it's a very simple technology and that it's limited to edtech products and to chatbots. So there's this misconception that AI, it's ChatGPT. AI, it's the products that we have access to, and most of them are chatbots, such as ChatGPT. And you and I both know that it's not true, right? Uh, First of all, there are other products than chatbots, obviously. But beyond that, there are many other things than chatbots that we can do with AI. And what I oftentimes say is AI, it's not a tool. It's not even a series of tools. It's an energy source, right? It's like a fuel that allows us to create tools. Uh, but what matters is it allows creation, right? Whether it's customizing tools or even inventing and creating those tools.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
so in some way, what you describe here is that there is a way that it can be used today as a gadget, as a tool, as something that can already do things very interesting, very simple use of it. But it's when this AI is combined with other things, like when AI is going to fuel other system, that we're going to be able to really see the power of it. Yeah, am I correct when I say that?
I think so. I think so. And even the idea that AI is a tool is I think not the right metaphor.
Hmm.
Like if you think about it, so any tool sort of by definition has a specific purpose. Like a hammer has a purpose. Even a calculator has a purpose. AI doesn't have a purpose, a specific purpose. AI is more like electricity. And you can use electricity to fuel a computer or a washing machine or a TV, whatever, internet, whatever you want, right? So it's a fuel. And so we have to think, what is that? What is that fuel? And that's the second difference with the tool. A tool, it does some of the doing for us. A tool, it's an extension of our body, right? We have fists, they're not that powerful or strong, so we have hammers instead, right? AI is a bit different. It doesn't do the doing for us, it does some of the thinking for us. And that's why it's an energy source. It's because this cognition that can happen with AI, we can use it to fuel many different applications. And there's no limit to what those applications could be. And the third reason that the difference between AI and a tool is that a tool, it's your choice to use it or not. A tool is optional to use or not. You can pick up the hammer and you can put it down when you don't. With AI, it's a little bit different. We already see that AI is part of our environment, part of the fabric of society. So already now, but even more so in the future, it won't really be an option to use AI or not. It will just be it will be a feature of the future. Whatever you do, AI will be fueling that thing or a part of that process.
Mhm. And so for you, Jérémie, what is the risk in not fully understanding the extent of what is AI and this revolution that is ahead of us, or maybe already happening now, if we're not able to really like comprehend what is this thing here? What could be the consequence for school and for future generation if we are not adapting to this transformation?
Well, so there's a simple way to see that, to see what it would look like, and that's a great video that comes from the organization is what school could be, and what's interesting is this video is not about the future; it's about the present. It shows how AI is used right now, and as we watch the video, we have to think, are we preparing our students for this future, which is already present? And I think that the answer
So
is in the
let's play the
question.
video, Jérémie. Yeah, I think it's fascinating, Jeremy, because for me, when I see and you share this video with me, it's remind me some conversation I have. I have a friend, Tanya Mishra, who is also in charge of this organization who supports AI in the curriculum. But it's a very different approach what she's doing. There is this hype with creating language, which I think is phenomenal and is going to have a huge impact. But AI was here way before, and AI is already embedded in our society, and it's only going to be exponential the way that this AI is going to come inside our life. And so to reflect on curriculum that can integrate the set of skills so the student can be ready for the world tomorrow is very important. And there is things that are happening already. But it's true that the conversation is a lot about ChatGPT, a lot
Hmm.
about how it's going to affect the assessment of the student. And I think it's a very important question, but it's much bigger than that, right?
Exactly. And so what you didn't see in the video is a human being, right, or a chatbot. So it's all about AI. You did not see a chatbot in there. And if there's sort of one takeaway from this first podcast, I think it's sort of shifting how we think about AI. If you had to define what AI is the capacity to transform inputs into outputs based on their meaning with purpose and autonomy. And that can be any input or any output. It doesn't have to be text, right? So it can be an automated system where I order something and it gets delivered to me within 13 minutes because it's been sent to a warehouse somewhere where a robot picked up my order. It was shipped through a drone that was guided by GPS to my apartment, whatever it is. This whole process happened without direct human intervention. It was
Mhm.
designed by human beings, but humans were not
Mm.
actively
And I
interested.
think, Jeremy, for me, it's one of the motivation that I have to do this podcast and to work with you on this is, and people could say, oh, Jeremy and Pascal, they're tech savvy, they know how to do things with AI and blah 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 blah. Which I think it's true. We have done things that are interesting using technology, but for me, the question is the humanity. For me, the question is how this technology is going to allow us to, in some ways, and it's a paradox, regain our humanity. It's how we're going to be able to utilize this technology. So I'm going to be able to focus on what matters the most. And in the school, it's going to be the student, it's going to be the teachers, it's going to be the curriculum, it's going to be the relationship with the parent. How this technology is going to allow me as a human being to exist and to have a bigger impact. And so it's true in the video, we don't see a human being. And I think that's the future that we don't want. We want the technology to be able to be here and to collaborate with her, to live with us, but to support the best in us so we can really make the world a better place. And I think that's really the motivation behind. It's not about technology in some ways. It's about how we are going to be able to drive our school, to lead our school in a very humanistic approach with AI and with the technology because it's here and it's not going to go anywhere. Right, Jeremy?
I think you're absolutely right, and that's the question. Like, what is our role, or how do we reinvent what it means to be human in this new world, right? And the danger, I think, is to if we go back to the beginning of the podcast, if you don't really understand the implications and you don't really understand the problems, then your solutions might be very, very short-sighted. So we hear a lot, even from great organizations such as the UNESCO, things like we need to keep humans in the loop, and we need to critically evaluate the chatbots, etc. If you think about the scale and the scope of what will be automated in the future, this this place for us is doesn't really make sense in my view. There, think about the mass of data and information that will be generated by AI, that will be processed by AI. There's no way a human being or a team of human beings are going to review the outputs and make sure it's not biased or make that is just not going to happen. So we need to know the technology so well and master the technology so well that we can use it to check itself, to control itself, that we know how to create checks and balances and more reliable systems. But that comes from very advanced AI literacy, right? We need to
Yeah.
reinvent
Mhm.
things like creative thinking or critical thinking they cannot look the same as they did in the past.
And I think it's one of the things that we will also probably address in this podcast is this AI literacy, how we can support schools and our students to develop those skills that we were saying that were already critical before being in this wave with AI. Tomorrow it's even more important. So, Jérémie, we are getting very close to the end of this podcast here. Can you give us an example of an opportunity that's practical, advanced, and transformative? What do you have in mind?
Well, so I want to give you a thought experiment. And I can share with you on my screen an example of something that happened very recently, where I think it's a student somewhere, managed somehow to connect their basic graphing calculator to ChatGPT, right?
Okay.
Now, that takes very advanced tech skills. Like, there's no immediate threat that that's going to happen in your classrooms. But what that means is it's already technically possible. What that means is very soon, that might be next year, maybe in 3 years, but in the foreseeable future, students and anybody anywhere will have constant access 24/7 to an AI that will be more powerful than the ones we have now and that will not be detectable. It might be an earring, it might be a pin, whatever it is. So let's stop and think, what will our classrooms look like? What will our schools look like? What will human relationships in society look like when I am constantly, in a way that is not detectable, able to access an AI more powerful than ChatGPT that has access to all information on the internet, that is able to process sounds, that is able to process images, that is able to write and run code.
Mhm. I think, Jeremy, and you're going to show the video here. I think I just want to say on that because I have this conversation today with head of school in Europe and also with a colleague at school. School are today asking students what they can do and tell students what they can do and what they cannot do with AI. And I think this posture is not going to be sustainable for exactly what you're describing here. Is we're going to have to rethink and adapt instruction assessments in a way that it's embed the fact that AI is going to be here. If not, it's not going to be sustainable for the school. So let's see the video, Jeremy.
It's not a video, it's just an
Oh,
article
okay, it's
from,
an article. Okay, so I'm going to share your screen
from,
now.
from Wired.
Voilà.
Uh,
So some mad genius put ChatGPT on a T184 graphic calculator.
And as another example, you have, so in this experiment, they mounted an AI that has vision capacity on a kid. And so that language model is learning language the way a kid learns language, not the way AIs are usually trained. Now, imagine that thing is much smaller in the future, and it can see, it can hear, it can access the internet, and it's not detectable. As you say, in this future, which is a very, like, that is going to be the case very soon, we will have to assume that students have constant access to very powerful AI. And there will be no way to assess them or teach them in a sort of environment where this is not true. So if that's our assumption, students have constant access to powerful AI, then how do we teach and how do we assess? And that has to be transformed.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy, for sharing all this with us. So next week, Jeremy, we will dive into a practical solution to look into taking care of the social emotional support of our students and how technology and AI can support a school to be in a place where we can keep a better track of what happened. We can encourage restorative approach. We can encourage to be a better communicant on what happened in the school. And this is a really practical solution that we put in place in my school. And we will navigate through the journey of designing the system, but more importantly, we will look at what impact it can have on our students, on our teacher, on the collaboration between the counselor and the teachers, and how it allows us to refocus our attention on the support that our students need, the conversation and the relationship with our students, and the relationship between the counselor and the teacher. So that's what we will look into next week. So you see, it's more about the human than the technology, but we will see how AI can really support in that process. AI and automation here. Voilà, so thank you very much, Jérémie. Very happy to spend this time with you, Jérémie. It's going to be a fun journey, and we're going to learn together through this journey because we don't have answer to all the questions. We are very curious, and I think that's what we want everybody to be able to be, to tease this curiosity. Thank you.
Can't wait for next week.
See you soon.
Thank you, Pascal.